our training tonight. We are super grateful, and we are feeling very blessed that you would actually come on here and have a little chat with us. So I just kind of wanted to talk to you more about your journey. How did you get started with Plexus? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, I was at a really bad point in my life. I was the unhealthiest, and really I was unhappy too at the time. I didn't realize how unhappy I was with myself until I started coming out of my funk when I started Plexus. But I had been watching a few friends on Facebook, and my husband had been doing the same, and they were some friends that didn't know each other, and they were having great results with the products. So I'm super skeptical, and basically went to my husband and said, how are they scamming us? Because they don't know each other, but they're all having great results with these products. And I had never been into anything like this, never taken supplements, vitamins, anything like that. But I was so desperate to have some change in my life that I decided I was going to give it a shot. And actually, one of our friends that we were watching is Alicia McKee, who's my upline, and she went to high school with my husband. And we probably knew her the best out of everybody we were kind of watching along the way. So he reached out to her, and she sent us some info, and we decided to just jump in and give it a try. Of course, I got on the phone with her, and she said, well, if you both want to try it, being an ambassador is the way to go. And I'm like, okay, because she, told me it was going to be a discount, and I'm all about the discount and saving money. And then she said, when you get your products in, just post about it on Facebook and do what I did and share it in your friends, maybe you'll have a little bit of success. And so we got Friday afternoon, I got my welcome pack in, and it was just kind of sitting there. And I said to my husband, I'm like, okay, it's here. And he said, what are you supposed to do now? And I said, I think I'm supposed to post on Facebook. So I posted on Facebook before I even opened it or tasted it, or had never tried the pink drink before. I had no idea if it was going to work for me, but just really posted about, what I was hoping it was going to do, what it had done for my friends, and ask if anybody out there wanted to give it a shot with me. And I was amazed at how many of my friends were kind of where I was. They were all looking for a little something. And I didn't have any crazy health issues, but I soon learned that a lot of my friends struggled with things like IBS and thyroid issues and insomnia and some other things that they had hoped that our products were going to help them with too. So it was just very eye-opening to realize that even though these were some of my best friends, or, the friends that I saw on a regular basis, I didn't realize what they were struggling with. And they probably didn't realize what I was struggling with, because you don't just sit around and mope and complain all the time and about your IBS and, just not fitting into all your clothes and stuff like that. But it was really a great experience from the beginning. And then we started seeing great results with the products, started sharing about them, and it's just been a whirlwind since then. It's just been fabulous.
Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. When I first signed up, I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to post about this. And I just did one little post, and it was like a Starbucks coffee cup or something.
Yeah.
And I said, are you drinking this or this? And people came out of the woodwork. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. And it's like you said, it's crazy how many other people struggle in silence with IBS and migraines and insomnia and fatigue. And, we have to think, if we have that, why wouldn't somebody else?
Right.
So, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So, like, at what point did you realize that this was going to be a business?
Well, so I'm not a numbers person. I always joke with Melissa Kramer, because, she's all into the accounting and everything. And that totally blows my mind to even think about. I took one accounting class in college and didn't last but about a week until I dropped it because it was so overwhelming for me. I'm not a numbers person, so I kind of looked at the comp plan, but if you don't really just sit down and study it, it's very confusing. And when you get that first chart, like I think Alicia sent me the chart, and I was like, I have no idea what any of this means. And I really didn't care to know, because I didn't think it was going to be, I'm like, I really don't need to know. It's not going to be that big. I might have a couple customers or whatever. And I did have a few friends that wanted to order. I had some friends that wanted to sign up right away. And I was kind of like, are you serious? People I hadn't even really talked to on Facebook and didn't even remember being Facebook friends with were messaging me saying, okay, I want to sign up. I want to get the best deal. What do I need to do? And So I knew from the compensation plan or the chart or whatever I saw that if I had 3 friends sign up, I would get $100. So I was like, okay, that will pay for half of our products, and that will just be a little bit out of our budget, rather than the whole $200 because we're both using the products. And so I said, okay, my goal is to get 3 friends signed up. So I had 2 people reach out to me within the first 3 days that wanted to sign up that, like I said, I barely had any communication with. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. I could do this all day. Well, then come day, like my goal was 30 days. I wanted to turn silver in 30 days. And come like day 24, I was still at 2 ambassadors. And I realized that I wasn't going to get my last ambassador by sitting behind my computer posting every day. So I made it a point to, when I would go volunteer at the school or, whatever I did on a regular basis, the people that I talked to on a regular basis, I made it a point to really talk to them and really reach out to them. So I had a friend that I talked to that worked at the front desk of the school where I volunteered. And I went in that day and I was like, okay, you've got to do this with me. Just really sat and talked to her for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then she signed up a couple days later, and then I turned silver. So I was so excited. I was going to get my $100. I got my first check the next month, and it was $1,300.
Oh my God.
My mind was literally blown because I had no idea where it came from. I thought maybe I would get $100, maybe $200, and I told my husband what I made, and he looked at me and said, oh my gosh, do you realize you have just changed our life? Because we were a 1-income family, and he's in the military. So, he makes good money, but it's not great money. And he said, if you can just pay for our kids' sports every single month, because we had one in full-time competitive cheer, and she did, middle school cheer, and then we had others in soccer and lacrosse and all this, and you know how expensive kids' sports are. He said, if you can just pay for that and we'll have a little left over, that will be such a burden lifted off our shoulders financially. And he said, do you think you can do it again? And I was like, yeah, I think I could do it again. And it just kind of went from there. And, I would call Alicia every single month and I'd be like, okay, what'd you make this month? Just because I knew I was maybe about 6 months behind her pay-wise, and ranking up and so forth. So I knew, I was like, okay, if she can make, she would tell me, oh, I made 7,000 or I made 12,000 or, whatever it was growing to. And I was like, okay, if she can do that, then I can be there too. And that's the kind of attitude that I had. And I just really worked, to reach that goal that she had done ahead of me. Because if your upline does it, you guys can do it too. They have already figured it out. They've already paved the way. And I know Liza will tell you, my goal for my team is for them to rank easier and faster than I did, because I hope I can save them some of the mistakes that I made. And I hope that I can show them an easier way to do this or that or whatever. So that's basically how it took off. And it was really just one of those things that you're like, where did this come from? But then once I really sat down with a compensation plan and wrapped my brain around it, I was like, okay, this is why I'm making this money, and this is how I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, I just have to laugh because my first paycheck was $29, but I hadn't started posting yet.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
I messaged Melissa. I'm like, oh, I got a paycheck for $29. And I laughed because I thought, oh, well, that's all it's going to be, And then the next month, I think it was $700. And I freaked out. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then it just went up from there. So yeah. And I just wish more people could see the vision and see what this compensation plan actually does, because I mean, this is for real money, and it's crazy money.
Yeah.
And it just takes a little bit of work. When you started, did you make a contact list and start reaching out to those people?
I really didn't, because back then we didn't even we had zero resources. I mean, I think Sonia Dudley had a couple of videos and Sarah Marble had a couple of videos, and that was it. We had to figure everything out on our own. I'm a list maker. I've always been a list maker. So I did kind of keep track of who I had talked to, who I needed to follow up with. But I never sat down and said, okay, I'm going to fill out a prospect list of who I'm going to connect with. I did keep track of who I had talked to and who I needed to follow up with at the time.
Okay. So that leads me into another good question then. How do you keep yourself organized then as a diamond? Tell me what do you do on a daily basis? What's some of the things that you like to focus on every day, and how do you keep yourself organized?
Well, let me just say, you don't have to be organized to be successful in this business. I am super organized when it comes to certain things, but like, if you could see my desk right now.
Same with me.
Yeah, like, because I come in, I tell people all the time when they come in my office, I'm like, you just have to ignore it, because when I do come in, sometimes I come in to straighten it up and clean, but then I get busy, and, I would rather work than clean off my desk. So that's on me. But I think as long as you have some kind of system that works for you, you know, I tell people all the time, they're like, I'll give them an IPA sheet and I'll say, you can utilize this, but make it your own, because what works for me is not going to work for somebody else. I mean, maybe somebody else works full time, or maybe somebody else has 3 kids under the age of 4 and they're not able to just sit at the computer and, do things like I do. So I just recommend that you always find some kind of system that works for you. Find a way, that you can accomplish what you need to accomplish each and every day. And one thing that I make sure I do every single day, and if it's something that I miss, I always go back and make up for it, is to follow up with at least one person every day. And by every day, I mean Monday through Friday. I try to take the weekends off a little bit. I do still work here and there, but not anything concrete. But every day I try to follow up, connect with at least one person, like genuinely follow up or genuinely connect with them. Let's say if I missed it today, then tomorrow I would connect with 2. That's something I try to get done. And if I am busy all week, or we're out of town, or it's a holiday week or something like that, then on Friday I would connect with 5. But that's something I always have done and always try to do. And I try to do as many as I can, but if I do one, then I feel like, okay, at least I followed up with one person. Because you know how quickly time can go. You can talk to somebody and be like, okay, I'll check back with you in a couple of days. And then here it is 2 weeks later. And you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to follow up with Susie. I just kind of left it hanging there. So I think really having a good system for you for following up is the most important thing, and making sure that you're connecting with those people.
Yeah, for sure. I've got so many questions for you, but okay. So how long did it take you to hit diamond?
18 months.
Okay. And what do you feel is the best part of being diamond, and what do you think is the worst part of being diamond?
Oh, the best part of being diamond is really getting to know people on your team, because there are so many people that I've gotten to know on my team and that I work with that I never would have known, that I absolutely adore. And there are people that, I will be friends with forever, plexus or no plexus. If they love plexus, or, something, how we would still, I honestly believe we would still be friends and still keep in touch and everything. I think that that's great. And I do really like, I have to say, I really like, that sometimes we get to be in the know on things. As diamonds, as jewels, we have special emails, and we get to know about our specials and our sales a little bit ahead of time. And sometimes they'll tell us things, that's not quite ready for the field yet. So I do enjoy that, because I don't like surprises. So I do like knowing things a little bit ahead of time. The worst thing,
or the hardest thing, I should say, not the worst thing.
Okay. Because there's a big difference.
Yeah, there is a big difference. Probably the hardest thing, I mean.
The hardest thing is trying to keep up with everything, because it's so hard to remember who's on whose team and who's upline and downline. And, people will reach out to me, and I'm like, they're like my level 11, and they don't even show up on my reports, and I don't know who they're under. And, sometimes I think when people expect you to know, oh yeah, I'm, Liza's level 9, you should know who I am, kind of thing, that's hard, because, you don't want them to feel like they're not important and not appreciated, but it's a lot of people to keep track of.
Right.
And I think that is the hardest. And what is really hard, but something that I've adapted to, is the different personalities with people. And I don't think that's just as a diamond. I think that's as a leader in general, because it's kind of like your kids. You can have I have 3 kids, and their personalities are completely different. Like, one, I have to scream my head off if I want to get through to her. And one, I can just look at her wrong and she's going to be in complete tears because she thinks I'm upset with her. So that, your team's kind of like that. You have to learn, how to talk to certain people. You have level ones that some of them, they like tough love and they like for you to be blunt and tell them how it is. And some I can call up and be like, so how was your day? And they're like, I told you I didn't want any accountability, so I think learning how to deal with each person is hard, and having to adjust to that is really hard.
Yeah, for sure. But I agree with you. The relationships are so fun and getting to know everybody on the team. And so speaking of the team, how do you decide who you're going to work with? Like how many levels down do you work with? What do you typically do when you work with them?
I work closely with my level ones, no matter what rank they are or how long they've been around or anything like that. I am always there for them because they are my number one responsibility. I do have other groups, and I like to connect with my leaders. I have a chat with my Jules. I have a chat with my senior rubies. I have a chat. I have a group that I invite those people that I know are actively working and really recruiting and need a little help other than what they're getting sometimes, things like that. So I guess it's just I don't know if there's a definitive answer. It's just kind of what meshes and what comes along and what type of, if it's an accountability group, I may work with somebody who's my level 7, 8, or 9. I may allow them to be in that group. Whereas if it was a one-on-one coaching call, I may not be able to allot the time for somebody that's that far down in my downline and maybe has 2 or 3 tools in between us that they can take advantage of.
Right. Okay. So you said something about learning from our past mistakes. So what if you could do this all over again, what would you change? How would you do things differently in your business?
I think I would have worked harder and faster in the beginning. I had no idea what Fast Start Gold was. I don't think Alicia knew what it was. It was just not something that, like I said, we didn't have a ton of resources. And maybe we read it, but we didn't really kind of get it. I think I would have worked hard to Fast Start Golds. And I would have worked really hard to help my people Fast Start Gold. And I worked really hard in the beginning because I knew silver was successful for me. And so I really taught that hard in the beginning. Not that I don't do it now. I just feel like sometimes we have so many resources, they're overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So I try not to do too much, because I'm like, we have everything. And then here's Hayley trying to teach us on top of it. But I really think getting people to silver is a big deal. I know that people that win the silver star, there's like a 96, I think last I heard 96% that they will be a jewel. Back when I started, they had finalists for the silver star every single month or every week. I think they said, our finalists so far this week or whatever it was. I was on the list twice. I never earned silver star, but then I had 3 level 1s earn it. So that just really, I think working together and helping them and helping them understand how to help their people turn silver was a huge deal. And it's still a huge deal. It's just, I feel like sometimes it gets bogged down in other things.
Right. Yeah, I want to do a silver training coming up here pretty soon.
Yes, silver is so important.
I had somebody asking, well, they really want you to talk about consistency in posting. Mm-hmm. What are your feelings on that? And can you just expand on that a little bit?
In the beginning, I was consistent. I posted at least twice every single day. I kind of slacked off. I feel like things on Facebook have really changed. I mean, it's been 5 years that I've been in Plexus. And back then, I didn't feel like we were inundated on Facebook with everybody and their sister, posting about something, whether it's network marketing or this kind of boutique or whatever it is. Now I feel like it's very saturated. So I feel like you have to be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to be a little more strategic in your posting and not just, post the graphics and not just post the salesy stuff. Like you have to really intrigue people when it comes to your posts now. But I do think it is important It depends on where you are and how successful you are. I mean, because I feel like sometimes when somebody's an emerald and they post regularly, and by regularly, let's say they post twice a week, maybe that's enough for them and their audience. But when it's somebody that's brand new, or, you know, maybe they're working on gold, or maybe they're working on senior gold, maybe they really haven't reached everybody on Facebook. So maybe it's more important that they post more often. You know, maybe they need to post 4 times a week, you know, 4 days out of the week, or 5 days out of the week, or even 7 days out of the week. I think you can really tell when you post something, if you post something like this and you just get crickets. I mean, people are watching you. They are. I mean, so it's getting somewhere, because I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to somebody or ran into somebody and they've mentioned a post I made that like nobody even liked, and they'll talk about it. And I was like, well, why didn't you comment or like it on Facebook? You know, if you're so intrigued by it. So I'm not saying that that doesn't get somewhere, but if that's not bringing your audience in, then you have to kind of adjust and make it more of a mesh of a lifestyle with your brand kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it's more important what you post than how often you post.
Yep.
You know, I wanted to post something today. I posted about my daughter going to Ole Miss this morning, and they say, you know, of course, there's a million rumors about the Facebook algorithm, but they say if you have a post that's super active, to not post again close to it, because then that breaks it down and it doesn't make it as seen. So I was going to post this afternoon about the Cyber Monday sale, but then I was like, but I'm still getting so much feedback from the post I made this morning. So, you know, I think it's just kind of hit or miss in how great you are at Facebook and reaching out. I've posted some things on Instagram occasionally, but really connecting with your audience is where it's at. And I never depend on Facebook. I try to personally message people that I really want to join me or I really think could use the products, rather than just, you know, put a post out there.
Mm-hmm. That's good to know about that algorithm and not posting like right away. Because I like to do posts where people answer a question. And, you know, there's times that I just get tons of responses. And then I think, oh, I should post now tonight a good plexus testimony.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
Yeah, that's the way I used to be. And I read that somewhere. I follow some Facebook gurus on Facebook, and they say that they'll say, you know, if you post something else, it knocks that one down. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's interesting. All right. Any other tips that you think we should focus on? Any tips just that you think are really useful that we should know? Because we are coming to the end of our time.
I think really something that I had a problem with in the beginning is being really wishy-washy when you reach out to people, because I am a total introvert and I don't like salespeople. And I don't mean to offend if anybody's a salesperson, but you know what I mean. I like to find my own things in the store, and I don't want somebody to try to upsell me or whatever. So I would always overcompensate for that. I think I would reach out to people and I would be like, hey, you know, I know this may not be for you, but I want to share about my products and let me know if you're interested. And if not, no big deal. So I was basically giving them an out automatically, because they could just say, yeah, not interested, thanks. Mm-hmm. But I quickly learned that, you know, I'm proud of our products. They're a gift in my life, and I'm bringing this gift to everybody else's life. So I need to be a little more bold in what I say. And so when I reach out to people, there are no, you know, it's okay, but I put the ball in my court, not theirs. I don't say, okay, just message me back after you watch this video, or message me if you want to know more, or whatever it is. I always say, I'm going to send you a video. I'll check back with you, you know, this afternoon or this evening to see what you think. I always give them like a deadline. Or, you know, if they say, oh yeah, I want to try the products, then I'd say, oh great, here's, you know, I've given them a little info here or there. And I say, okay, so you've seen everything. Do you think being a customer is the way to go for you? Or are you ready to sign up as an ambassador? Like, there is no, you know, if they don't want to be either one of those, they have to tell me that. Like, I give them A or B.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to get this part in though. Do you struggle with people who are ordering less than the $100, and how do you deal with that?
On my team?
Well, you just talked about, do you want to sign up as a customer or as an ambassador? Do you qualify them first and say, okay, if you spend this much, then you're going to qualify as an ambassador? How do you make that determination?
Yeah, I usually don't even, well, I say I don't even. I always bring up ambassador. If I know they're going to order for themselves and their spouse or their sister or whatever it is, or if they're going to order the Joyome and the triplex every single month or whatever it is, if they have a pretty big order, I will definitely tell them about ambassador and I'll tell them that's how I started because Al and I wanted to use the products and it's the best price. If they say, oh, I might want a bag of the Slim, then I'll usually say, I think you should be a preferred customer because as an ambassador, and I still say you're required to get 100 PV. Now, they're not required, but I still, say part of being an ambassador is getting 100 PV each month. So if you're not quite there, then you should be a preferred customer. But if you'd like to get your products paid for, then I start talking about that, sharing how they can get their products paid for and even make a little bit of money if they want to be an ambassador. But I really don't give them the option of ordering less than 100. Now, I'm not saying I don't have level ones and do it all day long, but I try to set the boundaries and really get it out there to begin with.
And do you say anything to the ones that are ordering less than 100?
I do. I actually met with my coach, and I don't know if your coach has done this for you, and he did a breakdown of how he actually sent it to me, and I have not had a chance since Thanksgiving to send it to the people, but let's say if somebody's ordering $80 a month, then if they double their order and they order the 160, like he sent me a breakdown of, they'll make $6. So $6 times 6, that's $36 every, so that kind of thing. So they'll eventually be paying for their shipping and then they won't pay the shipping that in between month.
Right.
Does that make sense? So they're saving quite a bit of money, but there's not a whole lot you can do if they're kind of set in their ways. But
yeah, I was just curious how you handled it, if you handled it at all. And so anything, I interrupted you. Was there anything else that you wanted to add before we end the call? I'm sorry that this is coming to an end.
No, I really think, this team is fantastic. You guys are doing great. There's a lot of growth. You just had a couple of people turn gold and silver gold, a senior gold, and there's so much greatness going on right now, and I would just keep it up because you guys are just really knocking it out of the park. And just know that, it gets crazy with the holidays, but we had our first, well, I guess our second Super Saturday call with corporate today. We went over our script for Super Saturday, and y'all, there's crazy good things coming. And I don't like hype. I told my coach the other day, I'm like, I'm tired of all the hype. And then I feel like nothing is at the end of it. But I'm telling you, this is worth hyping up. Super Saturday is going to be amazing. There is so much coming.
Awesome.
Didn't even believe it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're excited, and I've been encouraging people to get signed up for it. And I know that some of my team are doing a live event.
That's so fun.
I'll get together, and I think I'm going to Scottsdale. Not 100% yet, but yes, we do have an amazing team. We've got an amazing Plexus family. We are all very supportive of each other, and we love having you as our diamond, and we're so excited that you jumped on with us tonight and feel very blessed, and you gave us some great information and tips, and we just want to say thank you.
Well, it was an honor to be here. Thank you guys for jumping on with me. It's great.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.